Hello everyone, and welcome to my General Hospital official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. General Hospital spoilers: has Drew signed his own death warrant? Fires against Sonny and Jason will not end well. According to General Hospital spoilers, Drew Quartermaine may have overstepped his limits during the episode on Tuesday, February 4th. After all, he contacted Anna Devane with official congressman business, stating that the PCPD should focus on dismantling the mob in the small town. He expressly named both Sonny Corinthos and Jason Morgan, effectively initiating an unofficial war against them. Drew's situation may not turn out favorably. Drew Quartermaine continues to make enemies at this point. Most of the community despises Drew, with the exception of Willa Tate Corinthos, Scout Quartermaine, and possibly Maxie Jones. It's difficult not to believe that Drew's whodunit plot isn't on the horizon, given his numerous adversaries. The character has been penned into a corner, and it appears like leaving is the only option, as a road to redemption storyline is unlikely. Even fans despise Drew, though not in the evil sense that they should. Only death or prison may be the only options for this character, so perhaps the GH writing staff is considering a more innovative approach to design Drew's farewell than the standard murder mystery. Has Drew signed his own death warrant? Drew's arrogance may bite him in the buttocks as he fires the first shot, telling the town's police commissioner that stopping Jason and Sonny's organized crime network is a high priority. Drew's power trip since becoming an elected official is reminiscent of one that occurred in 2024. After all, FBI agent John Jagger Cates, like Drew, made enemies upon his return to Port Charles and later regretted it when Sonny shot him point-blank at the Quartermaine estate, a crime for which the mafia boss received no punishment. If Jason and Sonny discover what Drew told Anna, which is completely conceivable given how close Jason and Anna are, would the congressman face the same fate as John Cates? Has Drew signed his own death warrant? General Hospital spoilers: Brooklyn discovers Lois' secret about her baby. Will mother and daughter be done for good? According to General Hospital spoilers, Brooklyn Quartermaine has kept the truth of her baby's adoption hidden for years, only telling her mother, Lois Cerullo, about it. Brooklyn had no idea that Lois had arranged for her child to be adopted by someone she knew and trusted, so that she, Grandma, would never lose track of where he was in the world. Brooklyn is beginning to question whether she should have lied to Harrison Chase about her history. When she decides to come clean, she risks destroying not only her marriage but also her connection with her mother. General Hospital spoilers: Chase may never forgive Brooklyn. Brooklyn has been carrying the weight of this secret, especially now that she has fallen in love with Chase. The prospect of telling him the truth has been bothering her, but the news that Lois played a role in where her child ended up? That's a bombshell waiting to explode. When Brooklyn finally decides to tell Chase the truth, the consequences could be catastrophic. Chase would undoubtedly regard this as a betrayal of trust, especially since they've been establishing their relationship on what he thought was honesty after a series of lies from her in the past. Will their love survive this? GH spoilers suggest that Brooklyn may never forgive Lois. But what about Brooklyn's relationship with her mother? Lois had always safeguarded her baby girl and believed she was doing the right thing by keeping the baby close, allowing her to remain involved in her grandson's life in some way. However, this well-intentioned deception could backfire horribly. When Brooklyn learns the entire depth of Lois' involvement, the relationship between mother and daughter may be irreversibly harmed. Lois can claim that she was looking out for Brooklyn's best interests, but at what cost? Brooklyn may believe that her autonomy, or the ability to make her own decisions, has been taken away from her. Will she ever be able to look at her mother the same way again, or will this be the end of their relationship? General Hospital spoilers: Dante may never forgive anyone. The fans went crazy when Dante Falconeri said in Brooklyn's presence that the cover-up was worse than the crime when it came to Willow Corinthos and Drew Quartermaine sneaking around at the gatehouse against Tracy Quartermaine's expressed wishes, or demands. Dante will be furious not only because Brooklyn never informed him that she was pregnant with his child, but also because Lois kept him hidden so that she could have access to establish a relationship with him that no one else could. Likewise, it appears that his father, Sonny Corinthos, may have been involved in the deception as well. To make matters worse, he will discover that Cody Bell was also aware of Brooklyn's pregnancy long before. Will Dante have any friends after this? Will Brooklyn ever talk with her mother again? General Hospital star Steve Burton refuses to discuss Trump. According to General Hospital News, Steve Burton understands that there are times when it is best not to say anything, much like his own character, Jason Morgan. General Hospital star Steve Burton refuses to talk about Trump. Indeed, there is widespread conjecture that the actor is being compelled to conceal his political convictions in order to preserve his employment. Even if he supports President Donald Trump, you wouldn't know. Continue reading below for everything you need to know. As many General Hospital fans are already aware, Steve and his former co-star Ingo Rademacher were fired in November 2021 for refusing to comply with the ABC network's vaccine mandate at the time. Steve went on to work for Days of Our Lives, but Ingo has struggled to find work in the entertainment world. But now that Steve Burton is back, he understands that he cannot endanger his position on the soap. Unlike his former co-star Ingo Rademacher, he understands that he is better off not sharing his political views with the world. He understands that it is better to keep his personal opinions distinct from his business life. After all, getting a well-paying position in the soap industry is difficult, which is why Steve considers himself quite fortunate. He understands that he is currently in a very favorable situation. General Hospital News: what's next for Steve Burton? However, many soap opera performers avoid discussing their political ideas on social media. The lone exception appears to be Nancy Lee Grahn, who enjoys saying whatever she wants on X at any time. Steve Burton may feel that it is unfair to him, but he also wants to keep his job and collect his paycheck at the end of the week. Brad Cooper was never the kind to be scared easily, but something about the meeting earlier that day had left him unnerved in ways he couldn't shake. Cyrus Renaud was in trouble. Everyone was aware of it. However, knowing wasn't always enough. When Brad approached him at General Hospital, he did not hesitate. The image of Cyrus striding through the corridors as if he belonged there sparked something in Brad, a sense of rebellion, of duty. He had advised the man to leave before security was summoned. And Cyrus had departed. But not before giving him a glance. A glance that vowed wrath. It began with a sense of being observed. Brad felt a prickling on the back of his neck as he went through the hospital's nearly empty corridors after a long shift. He assured himself he was only imagining things. His paranoia was getting the better of him. That he was safe. But, when he approached the parking lot, his senses told him otherwise. The overhead lights flickered, creating long shadows on the pavement. His automobile wasn't far, but it felt like it was miles away. Then he overheard it. The sound of footsteps. Too heavy. Too deliberate. Not a casual shuffle by someone passing through. Brad's heart quickened. He forced himself to keep walking, not allowing dread to take him. But before he could get to his car, a person appeared from the darkness. And suddenly everything went black. The next thing Brad knew, he was in pain. A searing, unrelenting anguish radiated through his entire body. He was on the ground, the asphalt chilly against his cheek, his vision shifting in and out of focus. A faraway and mysterious voice murmured something before disappearing into the night. Then came quiet. And then nothing. Lucas Jones was fatigued after his shift at General Hospital, but he couldn't ignore the nagging ache in his chest. Something wasn't right. Something he couldn't identify. His world was turned upside down when he heard the frightened screams of a nurse racing into the emergency room. Brad Cooper, he has been attacked. The words did not register at first. Suddenly, they were all he could hear. Lucas could scarcely remember moving. He was standing at the nurse's station in one moment. The next moment, he was pushing through orderlies and ignoring objections as he approached the trauma bay. Then he spotted him. Brad. Unconscious. Blood was coating his clothes. His face was damaged, and his breathing was shallow. The machinery beeped continuously around him, and the fluorescent lights threw an unforgiving shine on his ravaged features. Lucas's heart squeezed. He'd assumed he was over it. Over the feelings that had previously connected him to Brad in ways he had not realized until it was too late. But seeing him like this? Vulnerable. broken. It destroyed something within him. The hospital was buzzing with curiosity. Whispers about Cyrus Renault's suspected participation circulated in hushed tones among nurses and doctors who had witnessed the consequences of his violence previously. Lucas wasn't concerned about the rumors. He only cared about one thing. Brad is surviving. But Cyrus Renault was not done. Not yet. Brad defied him. And for that, he had to pay. His initial attempt failed. However, his next one wouldn't. It occurred in the dead of night. The hospital was peaceful, with dimly lighted hallways while most of the city slept. A shadow passed through the corridors unobserved. Cyrus had gotten in previously. And he'd do it again. This time, he wouldn't take chances. He walked silently inside Brad's room, his steps flat against the floor. The machines beeped continuously, ignorant to the danger lurking in the darkness. Brad remained unconscious, ignorant of the stranger who now stood at his bedside. Cyrus reached into his coat and pulled out a syringe containing a chemical that might readily mimic natural causes. A fast injection. A tranquil dying. Nobody would ever suspect. It would be easy. It's too easy. But, as he tried to put the needle against Brad's foreline, a voice broke the silence. Step away from him. Cyrus turned with an inscrutable expression. Lucas stood in the doorway, his hands locked into fists and his breathing unsteady. What about his resolve? Unshakable. Cyrus tilted his head. Dr. Jones. What a surprise. Lucas took a step forward, his heart hammering. I could say the same. Cyrus smiled. Just visiting an old friend. Lucas's jaw constricted. Get out. Cyrus did not move. For a minute, the tension in the room seemed oppressive. Then he quietly tucked the syringe back into his coat. As you wish. And with that, he was gone. Brad survived. Barely. But the strike altered everything. For him. For Lucas. They were both unprepared to confront the quiet truths. Because nearly losing Brad had caused Lucas to recognize something. He still loved him. And he wasn't prepared to say goodbye. Not yet. Perhaps not ever. General Hospital's Maurice Bernard has a major hair update. Bernard's haircut is not entirely black and white. Maurice Bernard of General Hospital kicked off the current episode of his podcast with an important message for his listeners. A hairy situation. The most recent episode of State of Mind included Bernard's General Hospital co-star Carlo Rota, who discussed what it's been like to join daytime and be a part of Port Charles. But before the conversation began, Bernard had a message for his viewers. Listen, he started the episode. I'm tired of hearing about my black, dyed hair. Fans have noticed Bernard's hair changing color recently, from a grayer tone to jet black. I want it gray, Bernard said. The powers that be want it black, he stated about GH. After being introduced, Rhoda expressed her admiration for Bernard's dark hair, saying, I'm very happy to be in the company of your extraordinary, luscious, dark hair. Rhoda responded to Bernard's admission that he would shave his head, saying, the idea of having a problem because you want gray, they want black. Listen, I wake up with a problem every day. I don't have a choice. Bernard asked the actor how easy it is to get out of bed without worrying about his hair, to which Rhoda replied, I'm up and out. Willow Corinthos felt the walls closing in on her, but she had no idea how badly her life was about to shatter. The agony of her failed marriage to Michael Corinthos lingered, but it was only the beginning of the storm that would soon destroy her life. She had convinced herself that the worst was already over. She'd lost the love and trust she once had with Michael, leaving only uncomfortable chats and frigid silences. Every attempt to mend what was broken had only exacerbated the rift between them. The reality was, their marriage had been on unstable ground for a long time, but it wasn't until Drew Quartermaine joined the picture that it finally came apart. Michael tried to remain patient. He had given her space, expecting that time would allow them to repair the harm. But Willow had drifted farther and further apart, and the more she relied on Drew for comfort, the more Michael understood their marriage had become an illusion, a hollow shell of what it once was. Now she was on the verge of something much worse than a ruined marriage. She just didn't realize it yet. A strange alliance, Carly and Nina unite. It was a day no one in Port Charles could have predicted. Carly Spencer and Nina Reeves put aside their differences to work toward a common purpose. They were not friendly. They'd been adversaries for far too long, fighting an unending battle of bitterness, betrayal, and deep-seated grudges. However, for the first time, they found themselves on the same side of a fight, one that they both believed was for the better. Willow had always been obstinate, but her latest decisions had been risky at best and self-destructive at worst. Carly and Nina had both seen her collapse in different ways, but their concerns had converged on one unmistakable truth: Drew was the problem. And if they didn't move quickly, Willow might lose everything she had. Nina's motivation was personal. She had spent years attempting to establish a relationship with the daughter she had never realized she had, only to be met with resistance, rage, and heartache. Drew had stepped in, manipulating every frail thread that connected them, just as she had begun to hope she could finally find a place in Willow's life. Carly, on the other hand, was concerned about both Willow and Michael. She could see the pain in her son's eyes every time Willow picked Drew over him. It wasn't just about a broken marriage, it was about their family's foundation breaking beneath them. Neither woman loved the notion of working together, but the circumstances were too dire to allow pride get in the way. So they struck an agreement. They were planning to reveal the truth to Willow in some way. Nina's secret weapon. Though they had joined forces, Nina realized she possessed the true power to shatter Willow's carefully built reality. She had spent months keeping a secret that may wreck Willow and Drew's relationship in an instant. Nina had been torn between telling the truth and hiding it for months. It was more than just exposing Drew, it was also about the consequences. Because once Willow discovered what Nina knew, there was no going back. It wasn't a straightforward example of deception. This was not a one-time adultery or minor indiscretion. This was considerably deeper. Something that had the potential to change Willow's perception of the individual she cared about the most. Drew had spent the most of the previous year in a secret relationship with Nina. While Willow was struggling with her health and fighting for her life, Drew had been by Nina's side in ways no one expected. They'd been lovers. Willow had never suspected anything. To the outside world, Drew had been the ideal friend, providing Willow with the steadfast support she needed to get through her worst days. He had been there for her in ways Michael hadn't, listening, soothing, and providing the understanding she had convinced herself she required. But the fact was far more complicated. Drew hadn't simply been a friend. He was sharing a bed with the woman Willow had despised for most of her life. Nina might have revealed the affair years ago, but she kept it hidden for fear of the consequences. If Willow turned against her now, everything they had accomplished would be undone in an instant. But if she did nothing, Willow would be further twisted, led down a path that could only end in calamity. Nina had always believed that honesty was the most effective way to rebuild trust. But this was a fact that might devastate everything. The moment of truth. It wasn't long before everything started to unravel. Willow had always trusted Drew. She had believed in him, counted on him, and leaned on him in ways she never imagined she would need to. So when she heard the truth, when Nina finally said it, she couldn't believe it. It felt like getting hit in the gut. The room whirled around her. Her breathing came in short, irregular gasps. She could hear Nina speaking, but the words sounded distant and muffled, like if they were coming from underwater. "You're lying," she said quietly, shaking her head in astonishment. "You have to be lying." But Nina's gaze told her everything she needed to know. This was not a falsehood. This was real. The man she had trusted had been deceiving her all along. She had abandoned Michael, damaged her family, and alienated her friends, all because she thought Drew was the one person she could rely on. And now? She now had nothing. A reckoning at Port Charles. As the truth spread, the consequences were immediate. Drew attempted to explain, excuse, and assure Willow that it had meant nothing. That there had been an error. Willow, however, was not listening. She had spent months convincing herself that she had made the correct decisions and chosen the right route. But now, standing among the ruins of everything she'd made, she knew the truth. She'd been played. Manipulated. Used. Drew had been no better than the people she had spent her life escaping. For the first time in months, she could see well. And she was finished. With Drew. With the lies. With everything. But there was one question that lingered in the back of her mind, one she wasn't sure she was prepared to answer. If she had been wrong about Drew and everything, had she also been mistaken about Nina? She had spent years pushing away her mother. The woman who had just told her the horrible truth, knowing that it could cost her everything. Willow did not have an answer. But she knew one thing for sure. Her life would never be the same afterwards. General Hospital spoilers, 3 Port Charles couples will not make it past Valentine's Day. According to General Hospital spoilers, Port Charles is always a popular Valentine's Day destination, but not every year is as romantic as the last. For example, it was Curtis Ashford and Portia Robinson's wedding day 2 years ago, and as you may recall, things did not go as planned. But, in the end, everything works out, right? Unfortunately, rumors suggest that a few major couples on the Port Chuck scene will not make it through the month. Who are they, and how do you feel about the end of their relationship? Brooklyn Quartermain and Harrison Chase's fairy tale romance is over. Remember those tender moments when Chase sang his heart out and serenaded Brooklyn with those dreamy eyes? Well, it appears that the music has ceased, and not by choice. According to rumors, Chase will struggle to deal with Brooklyn's secret past. Perhaps he could have absorbed this information if she had been upfront and told him about it first. But now that he knows he can't have a baby with Brooklyn, he may struggle to accept the fact that someone else, and someone close to him, has. Willow Tate and Drew Kane are in for a crash landing. Next up is Willow Tate and Drew Kane, who were expected to be the new power couple after overcoming so much hatred. Unfortunately, love in Port Charles is rarely straightforward. With Willow's health problem behind her and Drew winning his congressional election, you'd think they'd be safe, right? Wrong. Drew has yet to tell Willow about his ongoing, until lately, relationship with her mother, Nina Reeves. Whatever she finds out, it will not be good. Finally, the explosive romance between Jack Brennan and Carly Spencer has taken GH fans by storm. This was always a bit of a wild card, wasn't it? Their chemistry seems to have the potential to ignite the screen. However, their connection has been more of a spark than a blaze up until now. Carly feels like she's in a spy movie rather than a love story because of Jack's secrecy and involvement in some questionable dealings at the WSB. With a track record of burning through romances quicker than she can flip a pancake at Kelly's, one has to wonder if this round will be the last. Will Carly cut her losses, or is there a chance Jack might emerge from the shadows and enter her heart? Weekly General Hospital recap, February 3rd to 7th, Joe's parents and Drew's reveal it was a heartbreaking week in Port Charles. There were baby bombshells and heartstoppers, and the General Hospital review for February 3rd to 7th, 2025, includes everything you may have missed. What happened at Port Charles? Several people planted baby bombs in Port Charles, and Sonny received an important news at his doctor's appointment in Los Angeles. While Lulu informed Dante that she understood if he needed time away from her to grieve Sam, Sonny comforted Alexis as she lost her daughter. Trina called Curtis at GH, hoping he could offer some guidance to a discouraged Kai, who had previously suffered a life-altering accident. While Curtis spoke with Kai, his football teammate discovered Trina in the hallway and began blaming her for Kai's injury. Maxie at the Surf Lodge provided Emma a judgment-free zone in case she ever needed it. Later, while meeting with Gio, Emma overheard Maxie ask Sasha about Jason being the father of her child. Meanwhile, Jordan informed Isaiah that Sidwell was in Port Charles, and Isaiah subsequently saw his former prisoner sitting with Jordan at the bar. Laura informed Lucky, who had been researching Cyrus and his patients at Elizabeth's. The two learned about another cardiac arrest occurrence, and Lucky told Liz about being held by Sidwell. Lucky told Elizabeth about his time as Sidwell's prisoner, including how he believed his father was directing him throughout the poker games. Then he revealed that he had seen Liz and chose to play their favorite song, after which the two danced together. Meanwhile, Jordan tried to maintain a friendly connection with Sidwell, but this generated issues for Isaiah. When he met her later at the surf lodge, he assured her that if Sidwell came for him again, he would fight him. Drew sneaked into the gatehouse at the queue to have a discreet hookup with Willow. He left his tie on the couch, and when Carly arrived with gifts for the children from Germany, she found it and stormed away before Willow could notice. Selena invited Cody to her next poker session, then met with Drew, who was looking for information regarding Curtis and the Savoy. When Cody returned to refuse the game, he had another confrontation with Drew, which resulted in him revealing that Jason had gotten Sasha pregnant. While Deception, Sasha, and Felicia were eating at Metro Court, Carly barged in and claimed that he was still fooling around with Willow. Drew fired back, admitting Jason knocked up Sasha. Alexis sought Christina and Molly's assistance in telling Danny the truth about his mother, while Dante confided in Cody about Sam's murder. At Metro Court, Sasha chastised Drew for discussing her personal affairs in front of everyone. Tracy later located her, apologized for her actions, and told her that she supported her pregnancy. Brooke Lynn decided to confront Willow, who became defensive and decided she and the kids would return to Nina's. Rick interrupted Lucky and Liz's dance with the wonderful news that Liz could return to her role as head nurse. Lucky decided to seek his assistance in determining the terms of Cyrus' parole, with the intention of framing him and returning him to prison. On the Cyrus front, Brad requested he leave when she arrived at GH, while Jocelyn sneaked into Cyrus' apartment to conduct some digging. She just found a crushed flower bookmarking a page in his Bible, but when Cyrus returned home, he noticed it was wrong. When Danny arrived at Alexis, she conveyed the news that his mother had been slain. Meanwhile, Dante pressured Chase to reveal the suspect they had. When Chase disclosed that it was Cyrus, Rocco overheard the conversation and informed Danny. Lois met with Martin to discuss the legalities of an adoption. She informed him about Brooke Lynn and Dante's baby, as well as the closed adoption with a family friend. That is when she disclosed that the baby's name was Gio. Lucas made his rounds, not at GH, but to his loved ones, first with Willow, apologizing for how he treated the children, and then with Elizabeth, urging her to make sure Jocelyn stays away from Cyrus. Nina requested Maxie for help convincing Carly to agree to a plan to keep Drew away from Willow. In her search for Charlotte, Lulu chose to follow equestrian places on social media, hoping that one would bring her to her daughter. When she met Cyrus, she cautioned him to keep away from her, and he answered with a cryptic message about how she had no idea what he had done for her. Drew visited with Sidwell, who promised to help fund the Esplanade project if it was built on Sonny's pier. In Los Angeles, Sonny and Natalia learned that Sonny would need a pacemaker. As they left the doctor's office, a strange individual called Sidwell and informed him of the latest developments. Sonny's pacemaker, Sidwell spies on Natalia, and Cyrus breaks restraining order. Sonny Corinthos needed a pacemaker, Jen Sidwell spied on Natalia Ramirez, and Cyrus Renault violated his restraining order. Carly Spencer told Lucas Jones in the hospital that she felt Nina Reeves wanted help breaking up Drew Quartermain and Willow Corinthos. Lucas made every effort to persuade Carly to reconsider the notion. Willow gave Elizabeth Baldwin a warm greeting on her first day back at work. Portia Robinson also apologized for the suspension, but Liz understood she was simply following policy. While Portia and Elizabeth discussed the inquiry into the Digitalis-related fatalities, Lucas made amends with Willow, apologizing for his previous judgment. Liz phoned Nurse Gail at Turning Woods to thank her for her assistance recently, and Cyrus appeared, intending to visit patients. Gail requested Cyrus talk with Ferner, the administrator, who admitted Cyrus was banned owing to Mayor Laura Collins' complaint. Cyrus exaggerated his power over Lulu Spencer's care, and Ferner was aware that GH had banned Cyrus from visiting patients as well. After demanding to know who was spreading lies about him, Cyrus recounted overhearing Gail on the phone with Elizabeth and wondered whether she was the cause of the problem. At Bobby's, Laura was impressed by Lulu's new plan, which included following popular equestrians on social media and researching equestrian-related facilities throughout Europe. Lulu wanted to use these viewpoints to acquire a lead on Charlotte Cassadine's location. When Lulu was alone, Cyrus appeared and attempted to act all chummy with her. Lulu reminded Cyrus about the restraining order and threatened to call the cops. Cyrus was outraged and hinted at what he'd done for Lulu, but she still pulled out her phone to contact the cops. Lulu looked up again, but Cyrus had already gone off. Back at GH, Liz learned that Jocelyn Jax had informed Cyrus that he was under investigation, so she alerted Lucas about the possibility of Cyrus feeling cornered. Cyrus appeared nearby and returned to the dried flower being moved in his Bible. Cyrus' gaze at Liz made it clear that he was ready to target her. Nina told Maxie Jones about her intention to recruit Carly for Drew and Willow's separation. Maxie had reservations and ended up stunning Nina with the news that Drew was preparing to buy a large property. Nina was concerned that Drew would move Willow and the children in, so she sought Maxie's assistance in delaying his arrival. Maxie wondered if Nina's problems with Drew stemmed from Willow or her earlier desire for Drew. After Nina stated unequivocally that she was over her Drew relationship, Maxie supported Willow, claiming that people in love do crazy things, just as Nina did with Sonny. When Carly arrived, Nina apologized for what had happened with Sonny previously. Nina also appealed to Carly as a mother because she needed to keep Willow safe from Drew. Carly was concerned about the fallout if their plan to break Drew and Willow apart was uncovered. Nonetheless, Nina pointed out that Drew could be relocating Willow and the kids to his new home. Nina questioned Carly's commitment to protecting Wiley and Amelia Corinthos after she suggested they may acquire access to the house Drew was purchasing. When Maxie returned from the hospital, she chatted with Willow, and they scheduled a playdate for their boys to exhaust themselves in Maxie's backyard. Willow advised that she consider moving to a new place with her own yard shortly. Sidwell saw Drew at Café Sherry and wondered if Sonny was involved in the Esplanade's delays. Drew denied it before Sidwell offered shifting the Esplanade to Pier 55, which is Sonny's territory because his warehouse is located there. Sidwell was even willing to invest his own money to assist carry the improvements forward. When Laura appeared and revealed Sidwell to Drew as Lucky Spencer's captor, Sidwell made a veiled threat to sue for defamation. Laura learned about Sidwell's proposal to relocate the Esplanade to Pier 55 and raised concern about his motivations. Jordan Ashford requested that Anna Devane provide her with a micro-recording device in her office. That manner, Jordan may warm up to Sidwell and persuade him to disclose things that could bring him down. Later, Lulu appeared and told Anna about her disturbing meeting with Cyrus. At the cardiologist's office in Los Angeles, Sonny received encouragement from Natalia and learned that he will require a pacemaker within the next 3 months. Sonny was more concerned with fighting back against the strange assailant who had targeted his penthouse. Sidwell's goon listened nearby and eventually called his employer with an update. Sidwell was actually having Natalia followed, so he was surprised to find she had gone to Sonny's cardiologist with him in LA. According to General Hospital spoilers, Sidwell's relationship with Natalia will be disclosed shortly, so stay tuned for more predictions on all of the drama that is about to unfold. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.